Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Kieran. I help people using a spiritual perspective. And today we're going to talk about predictions and how they're basically useless and we don't need them, which is a great way to start, really. I am someone who absolutely has relied on predictions more than not. And I guess we can categorize them in different ways. There's lots of different predictions. Should I come up with them on the spot right now? Sure, why not? Okay, so there's tarot, obviously, that's a big one. There's horoscopes, I suppose you can use as predictions. There's pendulums. I don't know if you know what that is, but you kind of swing like a crystal and it gives you a yes or no answer, I suppose. There's definitely automatic writing, and there's probably a bunch of other divination methods that I can't bother to remember at this moment. But if you know them, then you know them. But the ones that I mentioned are the ones that come off the top of my head, and so therefore I assume are the most important, because the things that I remember matter more. So anyway, all of them are used in spiritual communities to predict things. And obviously we're talking about the future. Now, this is a very attractive thing for many people, regardless of how spiritual one considers themselves, regardless of their own way of understanding a spiritual awakening. Plenty of people understand the concept of tarot, for example. Some people think it's like devil worshipping things. Other people think it's very new agey, and lots of people are kind of somewhere in between. But using tarot, for example, as a definitive measure to predict the future is foolhardy, I suppose, would be a nice way of putting it. Another harsher way would be stupid. And I say that as somebody who has made money off of giving others tarot readings. I've paid for tarot readings. I still do tarot readings. I just don't necessarily do them as publicly as I used to. And the reason that I would say that it's foolhardy or more harshly stupid is because I've been there, right? Now, there have been times where I have asked tarot cards, let me see this specific card if some X, Y, and Z will come true, right? Whatever. And I will pull that card out of the 78 that there are on like the first try, and then it never happens, right? Other times, you get negative results and the opposite happens. And a lot of the time it's kind of fine, it's normal, it's a way of predicting things, but people use it incorrectly. People use predictions incorrectly because there's an obsession with the future. And when you enter into a spiritual world, or whatever that might mean to you, when you have access to things that you didn't before, naturally, I think all of us feel inclined to make use of it. I mean, if you can understand relationships or career or money, and you can use that in a way with specific questions to give you insights of what's going to happen in the future, it's very hard to stop. It's very hard to think to yourself, well, do I really need all those predictions, right? And so you keep on going. And you can find these things on YouTube or Instagram, and you can just get instant access to thousands of tarot readings, for example, right? Or other divination methods, horoscopes, right? You can just keep on cycling through, refreshing pages, learning new information, finding new channels, new people, finding ones that resonate more than the last one, and you'll never really stop. It just keeps going. And then, of course, the more that you look at it, the way that social media or YouTube works is that you keep getting recommended more and more and more. So even if you think to yourself, well, I better take a break, every time you log into Instagram or YouTube or whatever, you pull up that page or something, and the first stuff that greets you is some kind of reading, right? So you can't even get away with it. It's like trying to quit cocaine, except the thing about cocaine is you can just not buy it, and it won't come up immediately when you're at home. But like a tarot reading will, it'll just pop up, and it's hard to say no to that kind of stuff, right? So predictions, they're addictive. Spirituality, it's addictive. This idea of controlling the future, it's addictive. And we've always tried to do that, I think. I mean, even before I would consider myself a spiritual person, I would always try to predict the future, but it was in a more narrow-minded way, I suppose, or maybe in a way that had less information, less awareness of everything else. So my control that I tried to, participate in was maybe easier to understand, whereas now trying to control things seems so futile. Right? And I'm someone who has absolutely been in a position where I've constantly tried to know information about the future. How does this person feel about me? Am I going to end up in this relationship? What's next in my career? Will I get a miracle? Or will there be some kind of money? How is this going to happen, right? And the more questions that I've asked throughout the years, throughout the months, whatever, the more that I've been disappointed, the less peaceful I've felt. And that's the thing that you begin to realize, is that when you pick a tarot card or a prediction, and even if it resonates, it's like filling a cup of water halfway. It doesn't really get to the bottom of things. You kind of feel temporarily great, and then a day later or something, you're just back to asking the same questions, because knowing the future, knowing what would happen, even if it absolutely will happen, is not going to help you. It's not going to help you now. It's definitely not going to get rid of all the reasons that you feel bad currently, right? So a lot of the times that we feel bad about something, like we don't have some goal of ours yet, or some relationship or whatever, a lot of the time in the moment when we feel bad and upset and inadequate and insecure, and we don't believe in ourselves and we have these feelings of doubt, it's really not so much a reflection of what we're currently experiencing or what the future may or may not hold. It's more to do with how we've felt in the past, right? So if you can pull back memories from your childhood when you doubted yourself and you began to think that you were never going to get anything you wanted and it was too hard to take care of yourself, right? These are just examples. Then whatever you're facing as a 20-year-old, 25-year-old, 35-year-old, it doesn't really matter, because you're just going to feel those same emotions. So whatever the problem is that's going on, the problems are different, the circumstances are different, the body's different, but ultimately it's the same emotions, same feelings, right? So knowing the future doesn't actually help you get rid of those feelings, because they're persisting, and they have been for many, many years, or however long, like months, where everybody's different. But usually we got some bullshit that we kind of accumulated throughout our lives, and they play out for us in everyday circumstances, right? So that time when you were a kid and someone fooled you or whatever, and you don't trust people, okay, great. And now it's just happening again in different situations, right? So knowing the future, like, can I trust this person? Is this opportunity going to be okay? Has nothing to do with your feelings of doubt. That's on you, as it turns out. It's also on me. So I realized after a while, I guess, that none of these predictions were ever really going to help me. So even now, if I do a tarot reading for myself, most of the time, halfway through, I just think, oh, fuck it, who gives a shit? It doesn't even matter. Because temporarily feeling better doesn't change the outcome of things. And sometimes they are unreliable because we use them incorrectly. We use them in a mind state that's chaotic or sort of frantic or anxious, right? That's never a good place to start from trying to do something intuitive or spiritual. Other times we don't understand that tarot, for example, is meant to read energies. It's not necessarily meant to be a definitive yes and no prediction of things, right? There's also times where you're just maybe not supposed to know the answer. We never really consider that. We always think that we can just use law of attraction or law of assumption or whatever nonsensical spiritual belief to get what we want. But you're not supposed to have everything that you want. Well, why would you? That would be crazy. We're not very good judges of what is best for us. Times where I've gotten what I wanted, I was disappointed. Other times where I didn't, I was sad. Then a year later, I look back and I think, oh, well, thank God I didn't get what I wanted, because I wouldn't have wanted that. Actually, it turns out that it sucked. So we're not great at being able to understand the future, and we're not so great at predicting it either because of that. And because ultimately what's going on with us and what's causing us pain is happening in the present moment, which has been carried over from the past, whatever circumstance we're going through, as difficult as it might be, can't be solved by this quick and easy information. Tarot reading, and it's done for you. You paid $40-50. God, people charge sometimes a lot more than that. And what do you get? What do you get out of it? Do you get a day or two's worth of clarity? Do you constantly go back to this thing and relive those emotions and memories? I don't. Even if you save a reading on your email or YouTube video or something, to me, it's like a picture. Take a picture of something that happened, years ago, and it was amazing and I love it. And then, you look at it again, if you ever do, and the feelings might have changed, right? So even with tarot, these things are changing so much. So you can't actually rely on anything. You can't rely on the information that's being given to you. So even if you go back and watch it, it might seem still kind of pointless in the end. And so do you continue to watch it? Does it last for a week? Do you feel great the whole time? Do you never need another reading? It's true that everybody can be different in how they process things, but if you're in a position where you really need to know something, then you're going to feel desperate. And when you feel this sense of desperation, even if it's just a little bit, it's going to be harder to make use of predictions, right? It's going to be harder to take those predictions, those tarot readings, those horoscopes, and to really make them known within you, right? And I think that every single one of us in any journey of self-help or growth or personal change, you're going to get to a point where the outside information is not what the next step is. It serves a purpose at the beginning, but eventually you're going to hit many, many walls, and the only way to get past those walls is to realize that you're actually the one creating them, and that the predictions are not so important. I remember what it was like to just feel hopeful or spontaneous about things, to have more of that energy. And yet the more that we cling, the more that I've clung to predictions of the future, the less spontaneity I've felt, the less happiness, the less joy. I mean, wouldn't it be nice, rather than to just go through YouTube or Instagram looking for predictions on love or career or money, to just be surprised, to just think, well, what can I do in the moment? How can I take care of myself? What is it that I can enjoy in the present moment? What can I do, even if it's feeling sad? Like, can I just exist without needing to know what's next, right? Because that seems more powerful. The ability to persevere through the unknown and discomfort than it would be to know everything. It seems more powerful and more prudent and more, I don't know, like it would show better character really as a human being to be able to just take the adversity of the unknown and just roll with it rather than trying to control it and know what's going to happen next, right? Like we have this tendency to think that spirituality is about removing discomfort from our lives, hence the predictions, because we think it'll take away the discomfort. That's not what spirituality is about. Spirituality is 100% about being at peace with the discomfort and saying, well, fuck it, the discomfort exists and I'm going to go ahead and still be myself. That takes real courage. Looking up a bunch of predictions and trying to figure out what's next for you, that doesn't really take any courage at all. It just takes a lot of fear. And that fear energy, which is most of the time why we're trying to find out what's happening next anyway, carries forward into the predictions, carries forward into the readings, carries forward into the next day. And then you wake up and it doesn't matter how great that tarot reading was, you still feel exactly the same. So I encourage you, whoever the hell's watching, to slowly but surely remove this idea of predictions from your life. I'm not saying that tarot can't be helpful, that horoscopes can't be helpful, or that the old wise man down the street can't, give you some practical, intuitive, amazing advice. Of course, everybody has something to offer, right? But predictions, they will ruin your life if you're not careful. And they're gonna take away the part of you that is spontaneous. Maybe they take away the part of you that can speak English, like it just did with me. But the point is, I encourage you to get rid of this idea of needing predictions and to try to live as yourself, which is infinitely harder to do and probably why it's the most important thing to encourage.